Right guys, this is question 7 from the 2018 paper 2. It's a biopsych question, and more specifically it is all about synaptic transmission. Okay, so the question has a little bit of information for you. Information can only travel in one direction at the synapse, and then explain why neurons can only transmit information in one direction at the synapse. Okay, so the question's a little bit repetitive, but it's a 3-marker, and effectively you need to explain why information can only travel in one direction. Okay, now there are 2 pieces of information that you kind of need to have to answer this question and get the full 3 marks. You need to understand the basic process of synaptic transmission. Even though you're not going to have to explain it for the question, you still need to understand how it works, and you also need to understand the basic structure of a neuron. Okay, again, you're not going to be asked to really describe the basic structure of a neuron, but you are going to need to understand what is where and what structures exist at what part of the neuron and the synapse and all of this kind of stuff. Okay, so if you have those 2 pieces of information, you technically have everything that you need to answer this question. Okay, so let's have a look at what we're going to do. So here is your model answer. Neurons can only transmit information in one direction at the synapse because synaptic vesicles containing neurotransmitters are only located in the presynaptic membrane from where they are released. Okay, so there is our first mark. We are showing knowledge of structures of neurons or structures of synaptic transmission, and in this case, the vesicles are only in the presynaptic neuron. Moving on, the postsynaptic membrane has receptors for the neurotransmitters, which means that the neurotransmitters can only bind on that side. Okay, so there are no neurotransmitters on the presynaptic neuron, they are only on the postsynaptic neuron. That means that the neurotransmitters can't bind on the presynaptic side, they can only bind on the postsynaptic side. Okay, so there is your next mark. Okay, and then we're going to finish it off just by saying this binding is what allows the signal to be passed to the next neuron, ensuring that information is transmitted in only one direction. Okay, so it's the fact that the neurotransmitters bind at the postsynaptic neuron, which means that the information is then passed on in that direction. Okay, there is your 3rd mark. Now, obviously, there are other things that you can say here as well, particularly if you're a biologist. For example, you might want to talk about how the diffusion of the neurotransmitters mean that they can only go from high to low concentration within the synapse, so they can only travel from the presynaptic to the postsynaptic membrane. That would also be fine and would also get you a mark. The mark scheme has a total of 4 bullet points on that you can talk about, and you need 3 marks. Okay, so if you have these 3, then you're definitely going to get 3 marks, and if you have that 4th one about the diffusion from high to low concentration, then that's kind of a substitute for one of the other marks. Okay, but it's also credit-worthy and absolutely fine to mention. Okay, I hope that's made sense. Thank you very much for watching.